In this video, I will show you how to put together this Christmas Polar Bear Friend card, which is an SVG file from Simply Crafty SVGs. Here's a look of all our Christmas Friends cards together. Here are the pieces to the card. So here we have the insert and then the card pieces and the tags, and there's an optional blank tag so you can put your own sentiment, or you can use the Happy Christmas printable tags. These are embossed panels for the insert and the back panel, the back of the card, and this is a front panel. So here are the pieces, the details. There's trees and the polar bear pieces in there. And here's how I created the dot effects. If you're not familiar with embossing folders, this is an embossing folder. You put the paper in between and it'll create some effects like this. This is from SVGs. It's called dots. And now we're going to go ahead and do some inking. So I like to ink around the edges. It gives it a great effect. So we're going to go ahead and ink around the edges here. So I like to just start with getting the ink off a little bit and starting from the paper and then work in from the side to get the effect I want. So it just depends on what you like. If you don't like it, then you don't use it. So we'll continue to ink a few other pieces and then we'll move on from there. So we're going to do a little bit more inking, and this is just around the eyes. Since we have a white panel on a white panel, I want to make sure that you can see the edge of the whitest part of the eye right there. So I just have a little kind of a Q-tip tool, and I'm using the Distress Oxide Pumice Stone because it's just kind of a slight color. It's better than black. So we're just going to outline it a little bit, very lightly, to give it a little bit more of a dimensional feel so you can tell that there's a layer there. Otherwise it might get a little bit lost with the thickness of the paper. So it's just very slight. And you can see I'm just going very carefully. You don't want it really super dark. But once we place it on the other panel, and you can see over white it's shown. That's how I test it to see if I want it darker. So that's the only thing when you're doing white panels over white panels with the way I design the eyes on these piecing elements. So there you can see it creates kind of a, you can tell the difference. But you could put more shading if you'd like. I'm also inking around the edges a little bit to soften the sides. So I'm just making sure I have enough on there to kind of see. I don't want it super dark, but I just wanted a little bit of a shadow around the edge. And it's not necessary, but that's up to your taste. In fact, I think the front would be good just white, but I like to have a little bit of shading on mine. And you can see I'm going over the top of where the hat is because just trying to make it darker on the edges so you can't see the white as much from the side. And then I'll do the same with this just on the edges because then it'll minimize the white that you can see once it's pieced together. Now we're going to go ahead and piece together these little pieces here. So I have this little nose. And you see I'm just being really careful with the glue, spreading it out a little bit so it doesn't smudge. I'm going to use the tweezers to kind of place it. There's a little hump at the top of this gray piece. Just line it up at the top. Then we'll go ahead and put together the hat. And then we're going to use the Pick Me Up tool. It's a silhouette Pick Me Up tool, which has a little sticky part on one edge to pick it up and to get it placed. You can see I'm using the other side to kind of move it. Then I like to pick it up and kind of make sure it's lined up on the edges. But when you're working with small pieces, a tool like this helps. Make sure this the way that you can see that top of that hat is situated properly with that little squiggly at the bottom. I didn't make them perfect circles or anything. So now let's go ahead and piece the body. So we want to add some glue on the back of that white piece with the ears, and be careful around those ears. Don't put too much glue. And I just took a little bit and then wiped my hands off. And it's easy just to line it up with the arms and the legs, and then the ears and the top of the hat piece. And those sharp tweezers I had to before I killed myself there. So you see how those are going to line up. So the one with the larger eye holes goes over the one with the smaller, and you want to line up the brows. So you want to make sure that those line up, and of course on the side and top. You want to be able to see the black through it right there. And you always want to do it, you don't want to do it on the black because we want to be careful about getting glue where the black will show through. So you'll see I'm not putting glue too close to those holes, or the openings. Cutouts, whatever you want to call them. So just line it up. I just always go around with my fingertips to make sure that it's lining up properly. And then we'll line it up, the final thing up here. So that it's easier to line it up at starting with the hat and then going down towards the body. The lower body you can line it up very well. We'll go ahead and add the hat and the little gray mouth piece. And it gets a little thick, but it gives it really good dimension with the piecing. I just like it. I'm sure other people are really good at creating like shadows and stuff. You know, the inking and from the edges. I've seen much better than what I do. I try. And then I'm going to take a white pen, a Sakura jelly roll, and I'd like to test it on a black piece first. And I'm testing on a textured piece of American Crafts textured cardstock. It doesn't write as well on textured cardstock, so I have to be really careful. So I'm just embellishing the eyes a little bit and the nose. If you want to practice, just go ahead and cut another nose out if like you're not sure how you want it to look. They're so small, it's just easy to cut another one out. Then we'll finish putting together the Christmas trees, which just entails placing the top piece on the brown piece. There's one large one and one small one. If you do like this project, I ask if you could give me a little thumbs up or like on the video, and or subscribe to our channel if you haven't already done so. And if you hit that little bell to the right, you'll be notified when we have new content. First, you just want to make sure that you fold everything on the score line. So there's 2 tabs in the insert, and then the tabs for the card front. And you can see the fold on the card front. Anyways, we have these 2 panels. There's 2 sets of snow panels. That one is for the back, and this is for the insert. So we want to go ahead and place the larger one first, and then we'll layer the second one to the right over it. So you want to layer it towards the top. And then you're going to go ahead and glue that to the right side to get that layered effect of snow. And then we can go ahead and, after we get that on, we can go ahead and glue on the polar bear. So I like to do a light line of glue around. You could put the glue actually on the polar bear, but just in case, I like to do it, just in case I drop it, I do it on the actual insert. And you saw I added a couple little bits of glue on the feet because I couldn't tell where that would line up over the panels. So you just want to line it up. Once you have that done, actually, there's not a whole lot more other than putting those back panels on. So you can choose to put this on later, but I think it's easier to put it on earlier. So you can put it on the textured side or the non-textured side. This particular one, you might want to put it on the non-textured side because it covers the entire panel. So it'll line up exactly. So if you wanted the texture side on the back, that's up to you. If you're using textured paper at all. it doesn't make that much of a difference. It's easier to write on the back of a card if it's smooth. And then if you wanted, at this point, you could always put the optional panel on the back. If it's easier when it's flat, but this is a light card, so I'm not going to do that. So let's go ahead and attach this larger panel, back panel. I'm going to add glue to the right tab, and then I'm going to line up the left edge of this panel while it's upside down up to the tab fold, and then you want to make sure also it's lined up at the bottom. So the bottom of that panel is lined up to the bottom of that front edge. There's no overlap. That's what it looks like. So now we're going to, you want it upside down, this insert. And we're going to, while it's upside down, add glue to the right tab. You're going to place that tab, see where that fold is right there? Right to the left of it. Just a little bit to the left of it. Oh, I keep on saying right to the left of it. So a little bit to the left of that fold to give it space and structure to hold it up when it's open. And once you have that in place, you can just fold it over like that. And I kind of went upside down. We're going to flip it around here. But you want to add glue to the second tab. It's upside down, so let me flip it around. You want it to fold over right there on the right that way, and then once that's folded over properly, go ahead and line up at the bottom edge. Make sure that that bottom edge of the insert lines up with the front edge, and then just press down. Make sure it's flat. That way it'll be flat when it goes in the envelope. So go ahead and just add glue to this right tab now, and you're just going to fold that over, and it should line up. You just have to adjust it so it's lined up at the bottom. The bottom lines up at the bottom of the tab. And then I said earlier you could put that on, but you can put that on now, or you could do it earlier or now. It's up to you. I'm opting not to use it. Now we're going to go ahead and add these snow panels, and you'll see there's cutouts, and that's to help you place the trees, the bottom of the trees. So if you don't place them where they are, then it's strategically placed so that top panel will hide the edge of them. So you can go through the bottom is what I recommend. So make sure you place the one with the cut lines first. And you're going to slide it in and make sure that that bottom edge lines up with the bottom edge of that back panel. Once you get it lined up, you can go ahead and apply pressure in there. And then we're going to go ahead and place the trees. So we'll start with the, you can do the large one or small one. We'll start with the small one. So you can see that it's going to line up at the bottom like that. And this one would be the large one. So on the left you want the large one, and you see how it lines up? So you want to line up that bottom edge arch of the trunk down there. And then the reason we're doing that is so we can hide it with the second panel. So I'm just creating dimension in the back of the card. And if you don't want to put the last snow panel, that's up to you. So I just like the look, and I tend to like that. So just try to get it, that one's a little crooked, but so you could have went to the left just a little bit. So it can go a little bit beyond the top of the back of the panel for that one. I tried to move it, but it was already set. So I don't recommend that. And then the other one, place it the same way, just on the other cut line. So if you do like this project, or any of our projects, I always ask if you could give me a thumbs up or a like on the video, and or subscribe to the channel if you have not already done so. And if you hit that little bell to the right, when you subscribe, you'll be notified when we have new projects and new videos. So then we're going to go ahead and do this, just add that one in. Again, if you don't want to, for the ease of making a few of them. It actually is pretty quick once you start doing it. I just like dimension. Just the same thing, you just slide it in. I just don't do it from the front so the glue doesn't get on the elements. And then you can just apply pressure, and you can even flatten it to get more pressure on it. So now we can go ahead and add that front panel. So what we want to do is just add glue here, not on the actual panel, because it is wider than that piece. It's the reason why we can't have it on, because it would be hard to put together. We're just going to line up the top arch. So you want to just line it up at the top of the circular portion. And once you get it in the right place, it'll be centered. So and you can tell you want it to be lined up at the bottom too. So if it's not lined up at the bottom and it's kind of cattywampus, then you have it in the wrong place. You just have to just scooch it over a little bit. Then you can use the optional printable Happy Christmas. You can put it in different colors if you wanted. I've done them in different colors for print and cut. But here's the color that comes with it. It's kind of a really dark gray on white. And that essentially completes the card. So here it is. It's fun. I love box cards because they can display easily once the person gets it. And it easily fits into an A2 envelope. So here I'm going to show you. The only thing you have to worry about is the popped up elements. As you can see at the bottom, you when you're putting it in, you have to make sure you don't get stuck under anything. So, but it fits in well. And here's another version I did, just slightly different. I just embossed the panels on the back instead of using a pattern paper with snowflakes. So there it is. I thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the project.